Well, it didn't take long. I think only a couple of days.
Thank goodness.
And the NHL, the National Hockey League, decided to rescind its ban, or at least its decision, to prevent players from using Pride tape on the ice this season. This happened after one player with the Arizona Coyotes took the initiative and did it on his own, and that started this whole ball rolling. And then when the NHL came out right after that and said, wait, hold on. We're
going to review. We're going to see.
But no, you shouldn't be doing that. And now we reacted when we first saw the story pretty much the same way. Just, you know what, here's another chance for the NHL to have done something right, and instead they stepped in it.
Yeah.
Well, today they stepped out of it and rescinded that decision. So thought we'd find out more. Andrew Berkshire is a hockey analyst. He's a program director of Game Over on SDPN Sports. Andrew, thanks for being here this afternoon. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start from the beginning here. The Pride issue is not new. It is in this particular case. This goes back a previous season as well.
Yeah, obviously there was an issue last year with the NHL. Many teams have Pride nights where they have warm-up jerseys that have the Pride rainbow colors or other designs by people in the community, the LGBT plus community, that design those jersey logos, and then they auction them off for charity or what have you, right? And there were some players last year who decided that they weren't going to wear the jersey and sat out warm-up or just didn't wear the jersey. And that one player did it in Philadelphia, Ivan Provorov, and then the NHL kind of said, hey, listen, it's one guy. Nothing's going to happen because of this. It's his freedom of choice. And then more and more guys started to do it. And I think it was around like 10. So not very many, but enough to make a stink. And I guess the NHL decided they didn't want those bad headlines. So they did away with all specialty nights and specialty jerseys in warm-up. And then this season, out of nowhere, decided to ban Pride tape, which is such a weird and petty thing. But they put themselves in a position where they didn't just step out of a problem here. They had no choice. Because if you go back to last year and they see these players choosing not to take part in team activities and they're saying, hey, this was their personal choice based on their beliefs, then you can't go out and punish Travis Dermott for doing something for his beliefs, even if you have banned it. So they had nowhere to go here. I know there was pressure behind the scenes to try to make it go away, but eventually, clearly, Travis stood up for himself. His teammates stood behind him, which is huge. And I think it really helps that Brian Burke has been out at the forefront being extremely loud on this issue, basically saying it's not going away. He's not going to be quiet about it. And it's a good thing, but I'm not willing to give the NHL any sort of pass in this situation.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you, because when Gary Bettman came out, and he's the NHL commissioner, for those who don't know, came out and said this is a distraction, I thought, boy, that is exactly the wrong thing to say. That is the wrong message. At the very least, you say we're trying to figure things out, but we want to reassure, kids that hockey is for everyone. What message do you think this flip-flopping now sends? Does the NHL now suddenly feel like a more inclusive place?
I think it does, in terms of, I think a lot of kids, and adults too, look at Travis Dermott and what he was willing to risk here. This is a guy who isn't a star player. Connor McDavid could have done this too. He kind of hinted that he would have at some point in the season. But Travis Dermott's a guy who doesn't have a contract for next year. He's a good defenseman, better than I think a lot of people believe, but he's kind of on the fringe of being an NHL player in the first place. And he put his neck on the line there, and to have his teammates immediately back him up, it's huge. The organization, the Arizona Coyotes, obviously allowed this to happen as well, and had his back through whatever the NHL might have said, during their couple days of quote-unquote investigation. But I think a lot of people see that and they think, hey, maybe the people at the top of the league are more concerned about headlines and, controversy, but the people who are actually on the ice, the ones who actually matter, they do have our back, and most of them do. And that does send a strong message. But I hope that the NHL stops using that hockey is for everyone slogan, because it's clear that the NHL has not put in the work to be able to say that. And I think as soon as you're saying is, to me, it's almost insidious, because it says the work's already done, and it's very clear that it's not.
You know, you have to wonder at this point, I'm guessing because this has attracted so much of a spotlight on the NHL, they'd love this to go away altogether. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking that's probably the reason, never mind them being open-minded and for the work that Brian Burke has done. It's just the fact that if we finally say this, we don't have to deal with this anymore. You think that's part of this?
Oh, 100%. 100%. The NHL loves to be quiet, right? They talk about their players all the time as, you know, of all the sports organizations, they're the ones that get in the least trouble, and they like to hold themselves up as like the quiet league, right? And that's why they're falling so far behind the other major sports in North America. The NHL is going to be overtaken by MLS. Like, it was always going to happen, probably, but now that Messi is in Miami, it's happening at a much faster pace. And the NHL is growing modestly, but not even close to the other major North American sports. And this is why. They don't understand that people want to see these players' personalities. They want to see them stand up for causes. They want to see them be interesting. And there's this culture in hockey. I feel like part of it is a little bit Canadian. You know, we like to be in a group, to agree with each other. We don't like to stand out and be loud. That's a very American thing. But when you're doing something for entertainment purposes, and at the end of the day, that's what sports is, people like to be entertained. And flamboyant personalities are entertaining. There's a reason why we still talk about PK Subban in Montreal, and it's not just because he won a Norris Trophy.
It's so well said, Andrew. I'm wondering what you expect to see happen now on the ice. Do you expect a whole bunch of players to start using Pride tape again? And do you think this then creates division in the team?
I do think that we'll see it more. I don't think it's going to be like an avalanche of it. I know there's been lots of players who've ordered Pride tape. The company that makes it has kind of said that those orders came through as soon as the ban happened. There was a lot of spiteful players who wanted to do something like this.
I like that.
But I don't think it creates division in the sport, because I think you look at across North America nowadays, and we always see these loud, angry people talking about whether it's people in the trans community or the wider spectrum. And like, this is a big problem. Like, most people just do not care about this issue in terms of it being something that is an issue. It's very black and white. All people are asking for is to recognize that these folks are also people with the full rights of everyone else, and that they have the freedom to be visible as they are. And it's really not a big ask. You know, I feel like there's only a handful of people who are really vehemently against it. Yeah. They just happen to be very loud.
That's just it.
Social media amplifies all that.
Yeah, that is exactly it. They just tend to be louder. And yes, it is amplified on social media. So good for the NHL. You know what? Maybe better late than never, as they say, but good to at least have adopted this policy now, and hope it stays that way going forward. Andrew, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
You bet. Andrew Berkshire, hockey analyst. So there you go. The NHL, it's going to be okay.
Did the right thing.
I love that all the other players, as he said, went ahead once this happened and ordered Pride tape.
Don't you? They're like,
That's
oh yeah?
a great story.
Oh yeah. Don't you tell me what to do.